apparently. Mate, DLR.
Hang on, yes you are, look. It says it up there.
I know it's on the boat, mate. That's why I'm allowed to call you that. DLR, mate, you guys are ski racers originally, I'd have to say. You've also skied from Tasmania to Melbourne as well. Let's talk about that for a second.
Well, that was a lifetime ago, Dave. Yeah, about 20 years ago. Yeah, it was a good time back then. There was good times. I'd like to do something else, but I'm getting old now. I'm nearly 50 next year, Dave.
I think I called you 50 on the last commentary, mate. Now, tell us about the boat. I mean, my old mate DJ Horton used to run this boat many moons ago with a couple of V8s on it. What's the story behind you guys now owning it and running it?
Well, as you know, I was a start boat for a lot of years, always in Victoria, never followed the series around with the start boat. But no, we had the start boat for a long time, so I've always been interested. This come up, she was cheap. I said to Steve, what do you reckon? And we bought it. Look, we're the oldest. We're definitely the oldest in the, not ourselves, but the boat is the oldest in the class, and it's the smallest. But we're slowly getting the pace up. We're a little bit off it, but we're trying to get there.
Well, mate, you're not coming last in the championship in your first season. You've actually put TCR behind you at the moment through reliability, and the boat was pretty epic in the rough water at Wyndham Harbour at last round.
Yeah, there was a couple of things we'd probably change now, but we'd never been in the rough, so. Yeah, the boat handled really well in that respect. Like, we didn't have to worry about breaking it. It's solid. So that's the good thing about the tin boat. So yeah, it's good to have the old girl still running, I reckon.
Mate, it looks fantastic, and it ran really nice down at Wyndham Harbour. You've got older engines, but you know the 300 XS it's a proven performer.
Yeah, look, we'd like to be able to afford the new ones, but we can't at the moment. But well, maybe in the future we'll go there. But we'll just try and get it as quick as we can with these, and hold TCR out for the rest of the series, and hopefully we'll get third in our first year, so that'll be good.
That would be epic, mate. Now, tell us a little bit about running in the boat, because obviously you come from open cockpit boats, you've ski raced, you've done, I think, some circuit racing as well, but very, very different being strapped into a cockpit. How did you find it?
Well, Dave, I actually like being out the back of them, and being in them, you can ask.
Well, folks, I can't tell you how excited I am to have this man back in an offshore boat. One of my good mates, Simon Jeffrey Isherwood III. Mate, Global Racing, welcome back to the Australian Offshore Championship.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, pretty excited to receive the call up midweek this week to have a drive for a change.
Yeah, you haven't been in a boat. We were talking 2023, I think, was your last run.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to run in the beautiful restored Nodder Real with Matt Humphrey. In a couple of events before the boat was sold and went back to the UK.
And then, mate, you ran in the US a few years ago as well.
Oh, yeah, that was an amazing experience with Brent Price and Mancini Cosmetics.
Down in the pits here at Wyndham Harbour for round 2 of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships. And we're just walking past this beautiful bit of red machinery. It's the Acme Racing. This is basically a new boat, or a massively rebuilt boat at the bare minimum. It's been around for a little while, but it's had this beautiful restoration and rebuild done by the Acme team, Andrew Searle and his guys. I'll just sort of show you around the back of it a little bit here for those of you that haven't seen offshore powerboats before. Maybe run through how these things actually work, the drive styles. I know we've done it before in the past, but that was a fair while ago, so we've got some new viewers and some new listeners and some people that maybe don't know all about these boats. But let's just have a little bit of a look. They use basically what we call an Arneson style drive. They call them that because Arneson were probably the original people making these ones. Aren't made by Arneson, they're actually done by another mob, but this particular drive is trimmable, so you can see it's a servicing drive. So the propeller not on at the moment, it goes into this spline here, but you can see that it runs level with the bottom of the boat. Now that makes the propellers very efficient, because when you're running a propeller, especially these cleaver style offshore, what we call surface piercing propellers, we want them to just have basically one or two blades, and only about half of that blade in the water when you're running at full steam. That unloads the engine, gives it lots of performance, and it's not running the top blades in the water and creating a lot of load. So props go on here, and you see they are level basically with the bottom of the boat. We have a big hydraulic ram up here, so this is the trim of the boat. Okay, so the throttle man also trims the boat. He's got some switches inside there. It runs a hydraulic and electric hydraulic motor, and it can actually pull this drive up or down. So traditionally the boat will trim down going down the straits as the air chokes up down the tunnel and gets the boat sitting flying high. Sometimes I want to trim the boat up out of the corner just to get the propellers up and out of the water and get a little bit of wheel spin or a little bit less resistance, and get those RPMs up onto the camshafts of the engines and get the boat accelerating away. So when you're watching today, you'll see the boats coming out of the corner throwing up a massive big rooster tail, and that's because these drives are trimmed up and they're throwing water up into the air and they're trying to unload them. Then once they get going and the boat wants to start to fly, if they leave them trimmed like that, the boat will can take off and blow over backwards. So then the throttle man will be trimming the boat down and levelling it off. Now, so that's the trim side of things. Obviously, there's gearboxes, not obviously, but there is gearboxes up in behind the transom here. So these guys are actually capable of changing their gear ratios as well. So they'll look at the track. If it's a rough day, they'll want to go to smaller gear ratios because they want that really instant throttle response. If they want big top end speed, they want to go to some big gears, and they'll run them, and they won't have the acceleration out of the corners that they would normally have when they're running small gears, but they'll have that massive top end, 130, 140 miles an hour. So they're able to change the gears. That happens inside the boat on this particular style of drive. How do they steer? Well, that's interesting. This is a Bisalloy rudder. Two big hydraulic rams up here, and they turn this guy here. He's got his cover on him at the moment, but this is made out of Bisalloy steel. Bisalloy steel has a memory, and it's very, very strong. So it can actually bend and it comes back to its original memory. So the air comes down the tunnel of the boat. A lot of people think that it's just the water pressure on these that steer the boat. It's actually, water pressure is a small part of it. Most of it is the air pressure coming down the tunnel of this catamaran and hitting this rudder. It's basically an aeroplane wing. So when you turn the rudder, the air coming past it hits it and it turns. There is probably about this much of the rudder in the water as well, so that obviously turns the boat as well. But very, very serious bit of gear, and we're up around 130, 140 mile an hour, and all this stuff working properly. They're just an amazing bit of gear, and hopefully enjoy watching them go around here today.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the final race of the day here at round number 3 of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships. And we've got our Super Sport categories out onto the water. 3 categories out there: Super V 85, Super Sport 85 and Super Sport 65. And we saw some great racing. Don't forget too, folks, you can actually check out round number 2 at Wyndham Harbour and round number 3 here at Geelong on 7 Mate and 7 Plus, coming your way in a couple of weeks. So make sure you get on board with that as well. The best television station in the world ever. 7 Mate. So boats we have out on the course, ladies and gentlemen. We've got the Gone Mental, Sam Lovesley. We've got Bernico Racing, Andrew Hurd. Special Edition, Mark the Russian and Melanie Nelson. Colonel Racing with Mick and Jason Kelly. And then in our Super Sport 65 category, we've got the nutcase winner of race 1, Harry Boatman, Backer and Shane Payton. Villain with Danny and Dean Cayley. Now, I don't think Villain ran this morning. I'm not sure whether they're going to be out there in this one. Valentis with the Pack Boys, Paddy and Michael. Cardiac Arrest with Charlie Diorio and Greggy Walters. And Risky with Mark and Laura Swain. So this will be a good one. Conditions have eased, if possible, have eased even more. So tricky conditions for speed limited racing, this stuff, because these guys, most of these boats are capable of more than what the speed limit on them is. So they don't want to break out. You break out, you get disqualified, and it's a bad day at the races for you, especially if you're challenging for the championship. Currently in the championship in the Supersport 65 category, Nutcase went into race number 1 here today, race leader, and they actually picked up first place. So that's given them 35 points. So that puts them over 200 points now. Second place, well, in actual fact, Villain not here today. They were running in second in the championship. So this is really going to open up the championship here for Nutcase. They really just need to circulate today and get the job done nicely. A top 3 would be nice for them. They don't have to do anything out of control, but the flag drops. You know what stops, and our Super V and Super Sport 85 categories open up the throttles and charge it down into turn number 1. Colonel will be desperate to try and get something done here as they head for the Motec straight away into turn number 1. It is tight between the Colonel and the Special Edition now as they tip in and go around hard and fast. On the outside of them is the Mental and the big Vertigo there with a lot more trim on it now. Andrew Hurd driving that boat for all he's worth. Down the front shooting, what a start as they go down the Motec front straight away. Throw the blanket across 4 boats now as they fire into turn number 2. The wide line. Making hard work there. Have a listen to Mark the Russian put the hammers down on the big Special Edition machine. We're picking up now our Supersport 65 category at Nutcase. Is our pole sitter, and they get the jump on everybody as they fight out into turn number 1. And this is going to be fantastic for their championship if they can maintain this lead for another 30 minutes. Valentis outside them, Cardiac Arrest, and Risky on the far outside. So it's the Razorcraft with Harry the Boatman Backer. Getting it done very, very nicely. Shane Payton on navigating duties. Valentis and Cardiac Arrest absolutely gunnel to gunnel as they go up into turn number 2. Little bit of banter coming between race control and our start boat there. Beautiful start from the start boat. The start boat, that beautiful big white pointer with 900 horsepower strapped to the transom of Mercury Power, was actually quicker than some of the race boats last round at Wyndham Harbour. And they got a little slap on the wrist for that one. But today, absolutely beautiful. As we look at the MSC Signs dogleg, the Valentis on the outside there, the Cardiac Arrest on the inside. So a real ding-dong going on between these 2 boats at the moment. Cardiac Arrest has Greggy Walters and Charlie Diorio. And the Valentis with Michael and Paddy Pack as the race now comes through. It's a Special Edition. Mark the Russian. Absolutely on it. Melody Nelson navigating. Have a look at God Mental. Sam Livesley working overtime behind the wheel of that, but it's a little bit of crosswash from the big boats. Colonel in the third spot. And there comes the big Bernico, the moonshot Bernico. There with Andrew Hurd behind the wheel. Picking up the Bernico as it fires down the back chute. He's run a little bit more in trim into that boat now as we go up into the top turn and now down into the Hornet Property Services back straight away. It's all the nutcase at the moment with Harry Boatman backer and oh, okay, we've had a problem. We've had a problem on the course. Looks like a boat has rolled over. So a boat has rolled over. So this will be a red flag, I would assume. Yep, so I'm getting red flag now. This race will be stopped. A boat has gone over. I believe it's Bernico, unfortunately. Hopefully Andrew Hurd is okay. Just trying to pick up where the boat is. Yeah, I can see the boat now across the back. It's just floating there at the moment. Nose sticking out of the water. So this is very, very bad news here. We'll shut this down in commentary now because obviously we need to get this situation sorted out. We'll let you know how Andrew is as soon as we get word, but at the moment Bernico has rolled over. Andrew Hurd looks like he's out of the boat. I can see his helmet in the water, so we'll hope that he's okay. Divers are gone in with Andrew. We do have paramedics on the course. Dave Bodner and his team of Race Day Medical. So Mark the Russian now. No red flags where he is at the moment. So the start boat is actually headed over. As we see boats shutting it down. So unfortunately no red flags that I can see on the course at the moment. So these guys haven't seen any reds. And we can see now Mark and Mel now seeing there's an issue and coming to a stop in their defence. The boats that were flying the red flags were off the course, so they okay, just had word from Rescue 1, thumbs up from the driver. So Andrew Hurd, thumbs up from him. They will put him in the rescue boat and they will he has to go in the stretcher, that's mandatory. But Andrew Hurd is okay, and that's great news. So very happy to hear that. He'll be taken and assessed medically. I'm not sure if this race will be restarted, folks. You'll have to bear with us just while we sort this situation out. Obviously, safety is number one priority here at the Offshore Superboat Championships for Hornet Property Services. We'll take a short break, and we'll be back with more in just a moment.
Well, folks, I can't tell you how excited I am to have this man back in an offshore boat. One of my good mates, Simon Jeffrey Isherwood III. Mate, Global Racing, welcome back to the Australian Offshore Championship.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, pretty excited to receive the call up midweek this week to have a drive for a change.
Yeah, you haven't been in a boat. We were talking 2023, I think, was your last run.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to run in the beautiful restored Nodder Real with Matt Humphrey. In a couple of events before the boat was sold and went back to the UK.
And then, mate, you ran in the US a few years ago as well.
Oh, yeah, that was an amazing experience with Brent Price and Mancini Cosmetics, MTR Racing. We went over there and did 4 events over in the US, and that was just mind-blowing.
Yeah, great for your experience too, mate. I mean, you're one of the most experienced drivers here this weekend. You pulled me up. I think you started in 87 or 88 as a 17-year-old, but there's always something to learn, yeah?
Yeah, well, yeah, 1988, January, Australia Day weekend 1988 was my first race. And that was when offshore was actually offshore, and we used to drive off into the distance so the crowd at St Kilda Marina would wave us goodbye, and then we'd come back 2.5 hours later and cross the finish line.
Well, some of you did.
Yeah, some of us did. Well, hopefully, yeah, that's right.
Fantastic, mate. Well, great to... Have you run in this boat before?
No, I've never actually ran in the boat. I've physically done some work on the boat a few years ago for Mark and the Gilbert family, but I've never actually physically raced the boat, no.
It must be exciting to be jumping back in a boat. I guess learning curve for you as well. You're going to have to learn a few things as you get out there.
Yeah, look, I'm sure Mark will tell you the same thing. We're not going to go out there and break any records. We want to get a feel for the boat. It's really a first shakedown run, and Mark and I have never raced together either, so we'll talk our way through it and just hopefully progress and get faster and faster over the weekend.
Looking forward to seeing the big orange boat out there. Tell us a little bit about the boat, mate.
An American 525 class boat, originally called Dirty Duck, brought to Australia by Chris Roche, and in 2004, and I think Mark's probably had it about 15 years now. So yeah, it's a pretty cool boat. It's different to the other Class 1 boats because it's running Mercury No. 6 drives.
Yeah, absolutely. And the hull?
Yeah, MTI.
MTI, yeah. Yeah, originally AFT, I think, when it came out here.
Yeah, so it was AFT and then CR Investments.
Yeah, fantastic, mate. Good luck this weekend. Hope you have a good time out there. It's good to have you back, and hopefully we see a smile on your face at the end of the day.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Great to be here.
We've got Ferrari Red Man, but it's Tom Barry-Cotter. Mate, Wyndham Harbour, she's a pretty rough and tough deal.
Yeah, it was an interesting race for us. Obviously, we're still dialing the boat in, and so there's a few things and trying to get the balance of the boat right. But we'll need to do a few tweaks, I think, after this race here in Geelong before Adelaide, and that. But yeah, look, the conditions they weren't too bad for us in Wyndham, but going to be a very different race here today. So hopefully, we've made a few more changes again, but the real major changes that we're going to make will be sort of after this race. So we'll just see how we go.
It must be tough, mate, when you're not taking the boat home. Obviously, you boys are from Queensland and the races have been down south, so the boat's living here for basically 3 rounds. Does that make it tough to try and develop stuff?
Yeah, definitely. Being at your home base you've got a lot more flexibility in what you can do. We're actually, Andrew and myself, were going to fly down and make some of these changes to the boat last week, but we had Cyclone Alfred up back at home, so flights were a bit hard to come by, so we pulled that pin and said we'll just make these smaller changes for this race and then and aim for Adelaide.
Everything all right with you guys and Alfred?
Yeah, everything's all right back home. I think Andrew lost power for a couple of days. We lost power for a day, a few leaks and that, a few broken branches, but nothing too serious.
Mate, this is a beautiful boat. Is it as much fun to drive as it looks?
It is, yeah. As much as we're still dialing the boat in, it is a fun boat to drive, this thing. And one of the things is it's always easy to make the boat go fast when you're finding a new boat. It's when I say fast, in a straight line to make it go fast. That's an easy thing to find, and that's sort of the things we're needing. The harder thing that some boats, and some when you're looking at the design of boats to come by, is to make them handle. But this thing out of the box just goes around like a bloody F1 car with downforce. Like, this thing is really good handling boat. So that's really good to sort of tick that box, and we're just working on trying to get the thing to sort of pop as it comes out of the corner and accelerate. And once we get that, the top end wise, the efficiency it's pulling is actually better than any boat I've run in this class before at the top end. Just taking a bit to get there. So we'll see. Yeah, once we can just get that thing to sort of pop its nose and be able to do that, then basically we'll be away.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was going to mention it was nosy at Wyndham Harbour, and we did discuss that. You made a few changes for later in the weekend, and it did sit its nose up. What do you need to do there?
That's what some of those more major modifications we need to do, just sort of the geometry on the steps of the boat, and Yeah, so sort of as the boat's sort of come through its life with 6 drives and things like that, we've changed the surface drives. It just needs a bit. So that we've been playing with the balance of the boat, just with weight and ballast and sort of moving the COG back. But we're really band-aiding another problem, I think, by doing that. So we're doing that to get by until we can actually correct the sort of fundamental thing that we need to fix on the bottom of the boat.
Well, mate, that is your business, the bottoms of boats. That's what you're all about. So it must be really good to be able to do this stuff, and you're learning as you go, and it benefits your customers at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's that's the one thing, and most boats, they're never going to get them right straight out of the box, but this is ticking a lot of boxes straight out of the box, and so we've just got this sort of one thing to sort of correct. I think once we've got that, it's going to be a real competitive package. Obviously we're down on power a little bit at the moment as well, but Andrew's been working on that side of it as well, so probably by the time we start Lake Macquarie, we'll have our sort of go-to engines, our number 1 pair of engines in there as well, so we'll be starting sort of the next season's championship with a boat that's pretty well dialed in then, and have an engine package as well that can take it to the front.
One thing I don't think you need to worry about, mate, is Andrew still making horsepower.
That's certainly not, and making him putting the throttles down. That's another thing you don't have to worry about. Yeah.
There's no drama there. Hey, mate, it's good to catch up. Love having you in the championship, brother. Good luck.
Thanks, mate.
We've got Ferrari Red Man, but it's Tom Berry. Rightio, thank you, Scott. That is, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap up the day. It looks like Andrew is okay, but they need to get him checked out. We need to get this boat to the crane and out of the water. We need to try and salvage the boat with as little damage as possible. So, unfortunately, that is not going to leave enough time in the day to finalise the last race. So, sadly, that is it for the day, folks, but safety does come first. Tomorrow, we've got 3 more races coming your way. Big boats going out for 2 runs and the small boats going out for 1 run. And it should be very, very exciting indeed. So, hope you enjoyed all the racing today. Big thank you to my main Casey here, who for helping me commentate. He's the only guy that actually saw the crash today. I didn't see it. But thanks everybody for watching. Thanks to everybody that's here watching on. So we didn't get that big a crowd here, but come down tomorrow, folks. Come and say good day. Should be absolutely awesome. We've got a nice day again tomorrow. So thanks to the boys at GP Hydro live streaming. Thanks to Hornet Property Services, our major sponsor, along with Motec, and of course MSC Signs. We'll see you tomorrow.